Hey everyone, my name's Jonathan. Welcome to Motor Psychology. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back and being patient. And if you are a new viewer, thanks for being here. And if this is the type of stuff that you enjoy seeing on YouTube with all the other things that you watch, please feel welcome to be part of the group here. So in today's video, it's a long video. It has a natural break in between kind of the taking apart the old hood, cleaning it and getting it prepared. And the second part is kind of like painting, putting on the insulation, and then getting it on the Corvette. So you're going to see all that in this video. I tried to take enough time so that those people who may be interested in doing this themselves might feel confident enough to consider it. So there's a lot at stake when you do something like this. It's a really strange feeling because you're taking off the entire hood. Things could happen. You could drop it, stuff could go wrong, things could break. Luckily in my case, everything went fine. So if you follow some of these typical steps, you'll have to refer to an older video I did a couple of years ago about taking the hood off. So I've got one video where you can take the hood off. The other one is kind of like refurbishing it, and then a natural break, and then installing it. So stick around for that, enjoy the video, and thanks for being here. So we're back out here again, and one of the projects that I'm working for, I've ordered parts, are for this hood here. So I'm getting ready to put the hood back on the Corvette, but before I do that, I thought I'd change the underhood insulation, repaint it, and put in some new hood liner insulation. So that's going to be in a video that's coming up if I don't do it in this video, but that is next on my list. So I'm just waiting for the stuff to come in, and then I'll be doing that, and then I'll finally be putting the hood back on this Corvette in order to get it started and get this thing back on the road as soon as possible. So we're down at the workbench, and I'm going to open this thing. It's got a couple parts that I need, and according to the label there, it's got the Corvette hood liner and a shutoff valve for the heater. Remember, I showed that in one of the latest videos. And it also has some attachments for the hood liner. So let's check that out, because we're going to be needing those. And as you can see, I got those parts from a place called Corvette Depot. It takes less than a week from when you order these to when you actually get them. All right. See what we have in here. A bunch of this stuff. Pretty good idea. It's pretty good for packing, although you don't really need it for this. So here is the 1976 to 1977 Corvette hood insulation pad. That's what I'm going to be using, and it's made by these folks here, Millennium Industries, made in the US, and that is the part number as well. So we'll give this a look once we get closer to installing it. These things here, they're made out of metal, and they are called Redline Restomotive 1976 to 1977 Chevrolet Corvette 16-piece hood insulation fastener. You only need really 8 of them, but you need 2 of these. So this is kind of like the male end here and the female end. So we'll figure out how to get these things going, but it'd be nice to put on some new ones for sure. So this is what we have right now. We've got this older looking screw, keeping that on the little rectangular shaped washer. This is the one that I just took off, and here is the hood prop, which doesn't look too bad other than it just being dirty. So we'll get that cleaned up and looking as close to new as possible. So here's the painted hood prop, or prop for the hood, and it looks pretty good. It's going to look a lot better when it's installed, but it certainly looks a lot better than it did when it was in its existing case. These are a couple of the mounting screws, and what I do is I just poke them through, in order to paint them properly, I just poke them through a bit of cardboard and they stick and easy to paint. And just out of info, this is what I used here. I used Rust-Oleum, metallic paint and primer for any surface, and I chose dark steel. So I've used it on a few other things and I like the color. I like how it makes it look almost like real steel, real brand new steel. So it's not a bad color to use for something like this. Here's the hood on top. It's been sitting on top for well over a year, so it's time to get it off, get the bottom redone, and then install it back on this car, which I'm really looking forward to. So most of the front end stuff is done. Here's some of the sandpaper varieties I'm going to use on the inside of the hood. And in most cases, I'm going to cut them and then put them on this sanding block just to make it easy. So the next thing is moving the hood outside and getting everything taken off of that. So we're going to move to do that. I'm probably going to paint it using this product here, semi-gloss black. I could go with a flat, but I tend to like the semi-gloss, and I've used that throughout the Corvette and I like it, so I'm going to use this product as well. All right, so we want to get these things off. I think they'll pretty much just come off, yeah. So most of these are rusted. Some a little harder than others. There we go. So really this is supposed to squeeze and this is supposed to pop up. So these guys squeeze in and then these come up. Almost. There we go. It's only been 40 something years since these things were off. All right, that looks like all these guys are done. I'll be throwing them all out. Let's get this thing off here. See what it looks like underneath. Pretty good. I'm gonna keep this thing until, all right, that's nice to know. It slides in that way. There we go. I'm gonna keep this in case my other one doesn't fit, but I'm pretty sure it will. So, looking here, we've got at least 3 that don't work. So if possible, hopefully my new ones have this side on it too, then I can replace those. This is dusty, so let's take this one off. Use a more portable ratchet set. So not too sure what size those are, so it's really just going to be a guess. 5/16 maybe. Yeah, there's a lot of things on this car that's 5/16. So let's pop this guy off. I'll either refurbish this one or get a new one. Here we go. Little clip down here, it's kind of interesting. Let's see if I can pinch this and get it out. Yeah, no problem. Perfect. Something to work on. These I'm not going to touch for now because they're all aligned and in place, so I don't want to mess with the alignment. All right, I'm going to hose this down and then just give it a light clean. Kind of surprised to see how much dirt and dust is underneath that mat on this hood, but at the same time I know this hood has not been off the Corvette since it rolled off the factory line, so totally understand how dirty it is. But I'm so excited to get this project started, refresh the hood, and get it back on the Corvette. All right, it's looking better already. Let's give it a quick clean here. I'm just using regular dishwashing liquid. I think I'm using Dawn or Palmolive or something like that, but something light and not too abrasive. Just using like a 3M sponge here, a little bit of non-scratch abrasive. It's definitely greasy around here. I suppose I could have edited some of this out, but I've got people who watch these videos who are interested in doing this work themselves. So sometimes the more you show, the more useful this video is. But I try and make a balance between it being interesting and entertaining and then also useful for other people that are in a similar position or want to be in a position where they're going to restore their C3 Corvette. Put on some degreaser, might help. I forgot that there's a bolt stuck in here, which I'm going to have to try and get out as well. After I paint it, I'll get that out. Stay around for later on in the video where you'll see me try and drill out that broken screw and then replace it with a helo coil and also put in a new screw. Question is, was I successful or not? So stick around in the video and see how that part went. All right, we're going to re-stick this down afterwards, I guess. There. Still in good shape. All right, time for another rinse and then another set of cleaning. Time to get rid of the water here. All right, here we go to rinse it down. There we go. We'll let this dry and then we'll take it back on the bench and see what we can do with it. Well, I got these things here, like I've shown, and they're all brand new, so I'll be taking off all the old ones. So that's going to be interesting. So basically, this one here is going to sit down on the Corvette hood, and then this one here is going to go in here and pinch the material down. So I think I will remove the other ones. So it shouldn't be too hard. I'm just letting it out in the sun, and the adhesive, the old adhesive, should warm up enough that I can pry these things off. All right, now I think we can get these guys off, hopefully. So I'm giving this a try with some plastic pry tools. Shouldn't be too hard. Not trying to damage the hood, but the adhesive on the hood is a little bit too strong for this. So I'm going to switch it up and use another tool, which is basically a paint roller cleaner slash scraper tool. And let's dive into that and see how that goes. So for the adhesive, I'm using a fairly robust paint roller paint cleaner. It's got a nice hard beveled edge there, so it allows me to slide underneath it. And because it's in the sun, it's warming up a little bit. So I've taken a couple off over there, and I'm going to get around to the rest as we move forward here. So this one, for example, all I've been really doing is just sliding that along, and gets underneath it and lifts it all out really nicely. So we'll do a couple more here. There we go. That's interesting. There's little potential spots on where you can put those things. I'll align mine to where the holes are in the new mat. All right, let's see if this one comes off nicely. Perfect. There's the adhesive and the spot. There we go. Perfect. Just getting around to sanding it. I'm using 120 grit 3M paper. Once I got this hood off and all the stuff off of it as far as the insulation and the attachment points and started to sand it, it didn't really need as much sanding as I initially thought, so I'm just giving it a quick scuff and then I'm going to paint it and it'll be good to go. So you don't need to sand this thing heavily. In fact, you'll probably damage it if you sand it any harder. So it's basically lightly sanded. I'm going to rinse it off again and then let it dry and then move on to the next step. So right now everything is taped around the perimeters, it's sanded. It should be good to put a coat of the spray paint on. Once the paint's on, I'm going to put the clips on with epoxy. So we're getting there, just have to put on some more coats and some other areas as well. That's where we are right now. This is currently wet, so we're going to let this thing dry and then start putting the pads on it and getting that thing ready. Looks a lot nicer. Might as well anyway. It'll look good. So next step in a second for you, but overnight for me. So here's the painted hood, still taped up. I didn't go too crazy on the middle. That's going to be covered, but what I did pay attention to was areas around the top and the sides, which are going to be more visible. So it's looking pretty good, a lot better than it was. And now I just need it to dry, and then I'm going to epoxy the little clips that hold the insulation piece on. So I've got to drill out this one screw here that I couldn't get out originally, and so I'm going to drill that out. I may have to rethread it or put a helo coil in it, not too sure, but we'll have a look. I'll show you what the screws look like that go in there. So basically they look like this. Got a washer, and I'm going to put that one in this hole. Not permanently, but that's where they fit. In here. Like so. So we got to drill this one out. All right, let's try and get this out. Hopefully it won't take too long. So here we are, we're slowly making progress. The hole's not quite big enough, but I'll have to drill it out to the same size as this hole before I tap that. So I'm going to figure out what the thread size is and then do the final stuff. I'll need to do some minor touch-up paint there, but it is what it is. All right, we're getting there. Most of it is drilled out. So what I need to do is to put a helo coil in. So this helo coil is a 5/16, and this little screw is going to fit onto it nicely. So I just need to get the helo coil in here, and in order to do that, I've got to thread that hole. Here's the tap that I'm going to do on it. So you just run it in there and tap it out, and then it's going to be threaded. All right, we're going to tap this thing here. turn it. Stick a bit of oil down there. We're finally getting this thing in. So to tap it, usually take a bite, back it off a bit, take a bite, back it off, take a bite. All right, let's see how it's looking here. You should be able to see down the hole, see the threads. All right, time to put the helo coil in. Here's the helo coil and the helo coil installer. And it's just gonna sit in here and then thread in there. Like so. And put it down about the same level as the other one. There we go, it's perfect. So if you look down there, you can see the threads. And just to verify, this will fit in. Nice. So that'll tighten up really nicely in there. So happy with that. Now a little bit of a cleanup and touch up this area, and then we're ready to move forward to the next step. Last thing I need to do with the helo coil is knock this tab off. See that tab down there? So this thing has a little edge on it. Oh no, this one's just a punch, so it just goes down there and you can just like tap it with a hammer. There. That's all that's required. Now it's a hole in there and ready for a little bit of repaint. But once again, got a nice threaded spot for this guy to go in. And of course, it's going to fit in this one. So that's a big milestone for me, actually, was to get this thing out. Happy about that. So here's where we are with it right now, just waiting for this paint to dry, but looks good. And then we'll get on to putting the insulation on there and attaching all the little clips as well. So I'm really thankful that that is done for sure. All right, time to open this up and see what shape it is. It says it's for this type of hood, so hopefully that'll be okay. And I forget exactly how much this was, but I'll get those prices to you. So I'm thinking under $100 or close to. And there's the new attachments as well. Not too sure where I'm going to put them. If it doesn't matter, I'm going to put them in the same spot, but I'm going to roll this out and see what coverage I get with the insulation pad first. All right, let's see what we have here. Just honestly just feels like fiberglass, which it is. All right, let's roll it out. I'll probably actually install this when the hood is on the car, but I want to get the mounting spots determined first. Nice. Looks like it's going to be a great fit. Here we go. That'll be a better fit. Nice. This will go in like here. There we go. I like it. That's how the insulation is going to look. So, looks like I'll be able to put my mounts in the exact same spot as the other ones. So, I'll take this out and I'll see, like I can still see where my mounting spots are. So, they look like they'll work. Can you see this outline here? There's an outline here. There is an outline here. I'm going to try and set mine up in the spots and see if I have what I need here. Let's see if I have enough. So these ones I'm going to mount on the hood because they got to go up. So these are going to have to go on top like that. So each one of these things are going to be mounted here. So let's see if I have enough. I'll place them on the spots that I can see for sure. Don't know if I have enough. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Doesn't make sense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 spots here. So maybe I'll just go back to the original. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've got 1 here, 1 there, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The options could be, instead of having these two side by side, you can put one here and maybe one there. So now I've got 3 on the top, 2 in the middle, and 3 on the bottom. That doesn't seem so bad either. So I am going to check to see if I can see another hood pattern for these things, and then I'll come right back. So after doing a little bit of checking, there are options. Like I was looking at my old mat and it cuts down this way somewhat to make room for the air intake, but I don't think that this is going to be an issue. So I'm going to use this spot here, bond that to there, and all of these are in the correct positions for the mat. So that's the most important thing. So I've decided to use this product here. It's JB Weld, which I've used various types of their products before. It's a very reliable bonding material. So this is a quick set epoxy. Doesn't need to be, but this sets in about an hour. It's basically a dual epoxy that mixes. And I'm just going to put that on the bottom of each one of these things and then put it on there and then come back in about an hour or so. So let's open this up and check it out. Applications: most hard plastics, ABS, fiberglass, PVC, glass, vinyl, most composites. So perfect for that. I went and found a mixing stick, but it actually comes with one, which is pretty good. So let's open this thing up. Should be good to go. Yep, so it's just a matter of double squeezing it on here and we'll take it from there. All right, let's try this here. Well, I could put it on here too. There we go. Whoa, that's more than I need. I'll stir that up though. I imagine this is going to be harder to get off than the stuff I took off originally. But hopefully I won't need to. And we'll just stick that on there. Perfect. Moving on to the next one. Maybe not quite as much. Stick this one in the middle. Perfect. And I'll line all these up properly. All right, next one. This one's a little bit hard to see where it lines up. Well, after a lot of work, I'm just going through the relatively easy and quiet process of epoxying these insulation bottom mounts onto the hood of the Corvette. So it's a pretty easy process. This stuff is not too viscous and it's not too fluid either. It's just the right consistency and it makes it easy. So very impressed with this product. It sets up very fast and in my opinion probably the perfect solution to attach these mounts. So we've got all of these things done. I did make sure that I aligned them all the same just to be consistent, but happy to have this one step closer to getting done. Here's where we are right now. We've got all the clips on there. Just going to double check them before I let them firm up, but everything looks good. We'll come back in about an hour and check it out. So I decided I'm going to put the insulation on now before putting the hood on. So I've flipped the hood around so that it's in position so I can just put it over on the Corvette like that. So it's only been 30 minutes, but with that quick drying epoxy, it's totally hard. And these things, I mean, you can literally lift the whole hood with these things. So they're on perfectly. I'm going to put the fiberglass on right now. In this part of the video, I'm putting on the insulation top. So I'm getting it in place and then I will poke it through the attachment things that I just put on. You can get molded and unmolded liners. This one is an unmolded. The one I took off was molded and it's just a better fit on the hood. I wasn't able to source a molded one, so I got this one. I have seen other people that use other products like insulation foam and things like that as well. For me, my goal was to bring it back as close as possible to kind of how it rolled off the factory. So that's really my goal here. And I'm just going around right now and it's too easy just to push in that insulation through those mounting points that I just epoxied on the hood. So after this is done, I'll be putting on the caps and then we're going to move ahead and get this hood finally on the Corvette. These clips, they go on with the pointy side down and that just helps keep this in position. So these are too easy. You just place them over and just press them down like that. I'm not going to press them down too hard, but it's that easy. It's a quiet moment in the work area here. I'm just thinking, you know, totally happy to get this hood closer to getting put on. It's a long time coming. And it's also nice to see things come together from what it used to look like to now it looking a little bit more newer. Finally, the last one goes here. That's it. So here's where we are right now with the hood. It's looking pretty good. Big improvement over how it was, and that's what I'm interested in. Okay, here's the weird hood support, and it's got a lot of weird angles on it. So there's not much out there that shows you how to install this as far as how to align it. So I'm just going to do that. It's a little bit tricky on this side, and that's it. So it goes in over here, and I'm just going to get over there and align it. So this part here, particularly this part, is a real challenge. So it's got to kind of come over this way. So it goes down here, kind of on that angle, like this. So this slides down on the same angle. I'm going to put a little bit of oil in there some oil on here. Thread this thing in here. Perfect. Tighten it like that for now. So now we've got the support in, which is good. And that just attaches to the hood. There's another bolt down there, which I will get around to putting on. So I'm getting ready to put the hood on here. I've tucked in a moving blanket here just to protect this part of the car as we get the hood into position. All it really needs to do is just be bolted onto these things here. The hinges are nice and tight here, which is important. If they weren't tight, you may want to get a new set of hinges. Mine were okay. So that's perfect. We've got the support in position here. Nice. And everything is good to go. Perfect. So moving on to the fun part, I wouldn't recommend to do this yourself. If you have a helper that can help you, that's great. My normal assistant was not available at this time, so the hood itself, it's not extremely heavy, but it is awkward and there's a lot on the line. So I definitely don't want to damage the hood. I don't want to damage the Corvette. I don't want to hurt myself, but I've moved this hood around quite a lot over the past several weeks, and I've got an ability, I guess, to control it and put it on carefully. If you've ever done a lot of home construction and moved sheets of drywall, that's kind of like what it feels like. So it's possible. And then once you get it in place like I have now, it's not extremely difficult. The next challenging part is propping it up to get it ready to screw the hinges into the hood. So let's see how that goes. And I'm telling you, this is something that you can do if you've ever wondered. What you're seeing here is me walking around both sides in the front, just trying to align the hood as much as possible and slowly get it into the right position. So it's not very difficult. It's not very heavy to do this. There's not any danger to your Corvette that you're going to damage it or anything like that at this particular time. So it's just a matter of walking around and getting it into place. It doesn't look as big on the video, but these Corvettes, the front end is super long and the hood is super long. So it's quite the hike to go from side to side and then to the front and then around to the other side. So when you look at it, yeah, two people would be a lot more efficient, I think, at getting it. But from an effective point of view, I got it done. And you'll see what happens next as I get ready to move further ahead of getting this hood on to this Corvette. So here we are right now. I've got it on top of the Corvette. I still need to maneuver it around to get it in the right position. Then I have to tilt it up and put the hinges on. So it's still going to be a while, but we'll get there. This is probably my worst or least like part of this entire job because it's risky. So I'm trying to handle this hood and get it in a position so that I can put a prop to hold it, so that after that I can have hands free so that I can attach the hinges to the hood. It's a little bit scary looking right now with this thing kind of balanced up here and almost getting ready. So here's where the hinges will go. Pretty close. on that side. Anyway, there's the other hinge here, which needs to go on that side. So I'm just working on these hinges down here. I've got one in, I got to get that one in, and then on the other side over here I've got one in, and I need to do the bottom one and then attach the little hood prop, and we're good to go on that. So overall it's looking pretty good. So this is what we're working on here, tightening up these two screws here. That will snug the hood nicely into that hinge, and we're doing the same on the other side as well. I think this is the one I repaired. Seems to be working fine. There we go. Not going to do it too tight because it will need adjustments. And down here we have the same thing. Not too sure if this one's in or not, but we'll see. It's a bit of a tight fit there. Yeah, it's in. All right, that's good enough for now. Now it's hinged in. I'm going to put the prop on it and use the prop to hold the hood up. So the hood prop, and these hood bolts are awesome. Just buy a pack and get them all. That's pretty good. All right, so that looks like it's a perfect lineup pretty much. That one there, and that one up there. Should be pretty straightforward. So I wasn't too sure how much I was going to put on installing this hood prop in this video. It's pretty straightforward and simple. Once you are in this position where I'm at, it's just about putting those screws into the hood of the Corvette and taking your time to do that, and just understanding how that prop is kind of oriented so that it works. I was happy to finally, after a long time, and I mean 1 or 2 years, get this hood back on the Corvette. It's looking way, way better than it did when I took it off, and that to me is important. So just taking my time to make sure this thing is on, and once again I'm leaving this on these videos so that those other people who are actually interested in doing this have a video reference that they can follow if they're interested in doing it. Otherwise, for everyone else out there, it's purely entertainment. All right, everything's in place. I'm going to lift the hood up a little bit and get the prop in place. There. All right, the final test is going to lower this. I'm not going to clip it in, or I might, but we'll see. Hopefully it's aligned. We'll take it from there. Let's see how it closes. This goes down, and then this will go down on here. Looks like a pretty decent fit. Yeah, just take the tape off it and make sure that it works properly as far as the fitment and stuff like that. And then we'll be done with this job. All right, try and lower it here. All right, a little bit of dusting here. I'm just doing an alignment here. So I've loosened the bolts on the 2 hinges, and I haven't completely taken them off, but I've loosened them. So that gives me a little bit of maneuverability as far as pushing the hood this way or that way and up and down. So you can see right off the bat, if I show you here, the line here is pretty narrow, and then it widens up here a little bit, and same with this line here, it's a little bit wider here. So I want it to be about a popsicle stick all around. So I'm just gonna, this is pretty good here. So ideally I'd like the whole thing like that. So some of it's got to move over that way a bit. So now I'm just walking around to make sure I get most of it right. It's not aligned on the top because I still have the hood open, so it's not pressed down. So I'm just looking at making sure the lines are good around here. So right now I'm just putting in popsicle sticks to use as spacers. The wood is a really good choice because it's gentle on the car, I guess, on the finish. So, and the space that the popsicle sticks works as well. So it's just helping me align it. So the way I have it set up, I've got lateral movement and horizontal movement. Now I've got it lined up, I'm going to gently lift the hood open and tighten up those hinges. There's no other way to get at those hinges other than to gently lift it up. Now that the hood is aligned, I'm going to lift it up, put the prop on, and then make sure that those screws are tightened up on the hood hinges. Then I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that it actually closes and stays in alignment. Let's hope it does. So I'm just working on these things here. I've left this one at the bottom loose, this one at the top tight, and hopefully I can get this thing down and maybe do some final adjustments and then tighten it up. I try and keep things as authentic as possible, and the time that you're watching this is more or less the time it actually took me to lift that hood off my table and get it on the Corvette. So more or less real time minus a couple edits along the way. All right, that's a much better fit along here. It's not perfect, but I got some more work to do once I get everything finalized. And there are little rubber stops that you put down on the rail here, and that keeps the line at the right level on the Corvette. So I still need to get some of those things, and then that will do the lineup. But that's it for the hood, and it'll be easier to do the final adjustments once I get this thing off of the jack stands and the whole car can kind of rest, and there's going to be a little bit of weight on it. So right now it's once the tires are on, it should be a little bit flatter. So we're working on here, just putting the light in place. So I put a coat of paint on this thing, and I want to put the ground cord on as well, or whatever this cord's for. Just going to go on there. It will eventually touch that. Stick this. So I'm going to take this off and then just put this in here, and then I have got another clip that will clip this wire down the side. All right, I've got this clip here, and you can remember how dirty these things were, so put them in that ultrasonic cleaner, and they're looking really good. As good as new. So this is going to clip on the hood way down here somewhere. All right, that's in play, and then this just down there, and this will just clip on down here. So now I want to take this thing out. There we go. Almost. So there we are right now. We've got this Refurbish thing in. It's hooked up with the right wires, and then coming down the side, the wire with the clips here and at the bottom. So I'm going to have to figure out what needs to be spliced in there to make it work. I'll replace this with I think it's an 1156, but I'm going to get an LED bulb for that. It's getting there. The other thing I have to do is put on the weather stripping that goes around the top. So I've got the weather stripping is cleaned. I'm going to reuse it. You can buy aftermarket weather stripping or exact fit, but mine seems okay, so I'm just going to get around to putting the adhesive on it and then sticking it on. So I'm getting ready to put the weather stripping on, so I'm going to use this Permatech weather strip adhesive. It's yellow. It doesn't matter really if it's yellow or in a red pack. This is a quicker drying stuff. It was the only stuff that was available when I went to buy it. Pretty simple instructions. You just put a bead or a strip along the hood side and then another piece along the weather strip, let it kind of dry for 10 minutes and then press it on. So that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm putting this yellow weather strip adhesive on right now, and I'm keeping the bead or flattening it out about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch maximum, and I'm just doing around the entire perimeter where the weather stripping is going to go. Total, it takes less than 5 minutes to put this stuff on. If you've ever worked with contact cement, it's basically the same stuff, except a little bit formulated for this particular purpose. The hardest part about doing this entire thing, for me anyway, is reaching over to the center line. Part of that is because I've got the Corvette on jack stands and it's about 1.5 feet or so above the ground, so the top of the hood is pretty high up. So I'm on a stool there and reaching over. That being said, it's not really that difficult. So with the instructions, you put this stuff on and then you have to wait for 10 minutes until it sets. And once it's set, it's good to go. So I'm appreciating the color on it now. It makes it easy to track where you're putting it on. And yeah, it's going on. So I'm looking forward to getting this weather strip on. Now I'm just going to coat the correct side of this and then put that on. Here's a close-up. You can see where the adhesive is on. It's kind of like a thin yellow color. So just letting that dry for another 5 minutes and then I'll put the weather strip on and then we're pretty much done. Okay, a few minutes have gone by. I'm going to put that on. So let's do that. What I'm going to do is use my corners as the marker spots and everything should work out okay. So right now the stuff is on. So it's like contact cement. It's not sticky, but it will stick instantly or grab to the other stuff I put on the hood. So let's hang this up and see how it goes. So I'm going to use the corner here as my locator, I guess. Whoa. Certainly is sticky when it comes on here. Looks good. And I'm going to hang this one over this side. So that's it. It's on there nice and firm. All right, so that pretty much concludes all the work with the hood. That is a refresh on this old hood. It looks great. There was no major issues with it. As far as the installation, things look great. I'm just going to lower it and make sure everything works in that regard. All right, let's see how it goes here. Pretty satisfying. I'm just going to drop it gently in case this one is going to hit. Looks all right. There we go. Looking good. So I can pop down a bit. There. So finally we have this hood on. It's looking great. And it's been a while, so we're getting this thing closer to starting up and evaluating on what we have here and where we want to go. All right, so there it is. It's looking good in the sun. Haven't used that this much at all. Maybe 4 or 5 times this year, but man, this car looks exceptional. So let's check out underneath the hood and see what it looks like. Well, there's the prop. Looks pretty good as it is. Nice. And they kind of have it set up the same way mine was originally. So it's not a fitted liner, or it could be a fitted liner, not too sure. I don't think it is fitted. If I do need to change the hood liner, I'll make the adjustments, but I'm liking how the red ones turned out. So this needs a little bit of a cleaning, but it's looking good. Hey everyone, that concludes the video on the refresh and the install of the C3 Corvette Hood. It was a fairly long project from start to finish based on other stuff I was doing on the car, but you know what, super happy that it went well and I've got that hood back on the Corvette, and that's one more step closer to getting that thing back on the road. Thanks for sticking around and watching the video. Hopefully it's useful for those people who need that type of information, or if not, then hopefully it was entertaining. Anyway, we'll catch you all right back here at Motor Psychology next time.